What's going on, everybody? Sorry about that little technical difficulties, but we are back, just like the title in the live says. We are back. So when we last left off, we were talking about, because of a comment from B Hodge about the Suns and the respect that you should have for them. So yeah, I could see that. I would love a Clippers Suns matchup though, just the Rajon Rondo, Chris Paul thing, and just the players that they are, like that. That'd just be a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of like I was about to say, I think their lack of experience is what's going to hurt them. But if they beat LeBron James and the Lakers in the first round, I think that's just going to take some of those young guys' confidence through the roof. So I can see it, but they would have to get past that first round matchup, which is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Mel Israel, man, I have not seen you in a while, man. What's going on?
Mel, I appreciate you. Thank you.
So did you guys get to see the Hall of Fame inductions for what was really supposed to be 2020, right? And because of COVID, we ended up doing 2021, or am I mistaken on that?
Uh, I think so.
Yeah,
Did they combine both of the groups together?
not sure.
All
Not
right.
gonna answer on something I'm not too sure of, but
It's
Kim, no, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I guess it's considered the 2021 class, so I guess we'll go from there.
All right. Well, Tim Duncan, the late great Kobe Bean Bryant, and big ticket Kevin Garnett headlined this class. You also had Tamika Catchings in there. A lot of good from this one. Number one, God bless Vanessa Bryant. That woman is the definition of strength. Being able to hold it together. Every time she's gone up there to speak to the public about her husband. She lost a daughter as well, and then it just made all the sense in the world to have Michael Jordan, be the one to indoctrinate him. That was that was crazy to see. I guess K, what was your thoughts on everything? KG and KG even thanked the Brooklyn Nets. I don't really, when I think of KG's career, I don't think of KG and the Brooklyn Nets, even though they made the playoffs that one year. No. So
Um, I mean, he probably thanked them for the opportunity because that was later on in the years. Excuse me. Obviously, it's a well-deserved class, and like you said, I guess they picked the right people to kind of go up there and give a tribute to Kobe Bryant. But I think the kid that Chris Webber got into this one too, right?
no, Chris Webber is in the
Oh, for
2022
next year.
class. We'll get into that one after we talk about these inductions.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously a well-deserved class when you think about Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and then Kobe Bryant. So I'm not surprised he thanked the Brooklyn Nets. Like I said, it was later on in his career, but they gave him an opportunity and then they shipped him back off to Minnesota when they really didn't have to. So all in all, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I was watching Joe Johnson's interview the other day when they talked about the Brooklyn Nets. He said that losing Brook Lopez that series really hurt that year really hurt them because they were playing through him a lot. So maybe if you keep him, things maybe end up being a little different. I mean, they still would have problems with the Heat, but
Didn't they still make the second round though? Or am
yeah,
I? No, they did, right?
yeah. I remember Braun went off for like 46 in Game 4, and they lost in 5.
Yeah. I mean, that was good. Like, you talk about his career, like, because a lot of people, some people who really don't know him, think like he's straight Chicago, and he's not. Like, he was born and raised in South Carolina, then spent some time in Chicago before headed to the NBA. It was nice to see Zeke, you know, induct him as well, because that was like his mentor coming up when he was in Chicago. When his speech came up, I think what stood out to me the most was when he was talking about his time in Minnesota. And for those of you who don't know, Minnesota was that was a team you thought like could, not saying they would have, but definitely could have, been something to like Stephon Marbury, leaving the Minnesota Timberwolves really hurt their chances as a title contender, because you had Stephon Marbury, you had Kevin Garnett, and I want to say Latrell Sprewell was with them for a period of time. Like, that was the trio for a period of time, but I might be mistaken on that one. But just to, even though he ended up winning a title in 2008, and really that's the team. Like Minnesota drafted him, and he spent most of his career there. But the team we all really remember him for, especially in this day and age, is the Boston Celtics because of just what they were, and they came together and won a title in year one. But I mean, just I guess getting back to it, like what could have been if things worked out with him and Stephon Marbury in Minnesota.
I think the sky's the limit. Honestly, you saw how kind of Stephon Marbury's career ended up turning out. So, with that 1-2 punch, anything kind of really could happen. Who knows? Because they're still in the West, and the West has been tough for. They still had to go through the Lakers, the Spurs, and the West has been tough for years now. So, but they definitely would have the firepower and the team to kind of compete with those guys. And you think about it, even after he left, the Minnesota Timberwolves were still good. They made it to the playoffs. I think they made it to conference finals or two. So you think about you add him to those teams, they could have possibly won one.
Yeah. And then you mentioned the San Antonio Spurs, Tim Duncan getting in this one. Of course, the Admiral had to bring him in for that one, David Robinson. And 5 championships, one of the greatest dynasties of all time. I'm still sour about the 5th one because of who they went through to get it. But it was great hearing Tim Duncan's, talk about his career and, what Pop meant to him, who Pop is not as a coach, not just as a coach, but as a man. And, just him, R.C. Buford, and what, being on those Spurs teams was like. And, like, I think a lot of people who run organizations need to listen to the words that Tim Duncan said when it came to, running a championship organization, looking to your left and to your right and knowing that those guys are still going to be around. You're going to be in the trenches with those guys for years to come. Like just doing the right things. And, what Pop did for like talking to his family when he was going through the draft and everything. Like this was a GOAT status class, man, like through and through. Like it was just great to see.
Yeah, definitely, especially for us, because those are kind of some of the players that we grew up watching a little bit. So that was good to see. And his speech is good too because like you always like obviously you see the Spurs and you hear about the Spurs, but none of their business ever really leaks, so you never really kind of hear how things are going over there. It just sounds like everything's great. Besides the Kawhi Leonard thing that happened a few years back, it's just like all right, the Spurs are the Spurs, so it's kind of good to hear some of the inside of things that was going on over there. You don't really hear too much; they kind of keep their business tight.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'm just pulling up.
Well, Shad's back. I'm not sure if Hodge is back in here, but I want a realistic answer of what they think the Knicks can do.
I'm here for it. I'm pulling up next year's Hall of Fame class. Oh, shout out to Mike Breen and Mike Wilbon as well. They were inducted into the Hall of Fame. We didn't get to get a speech from them, but those two have been synonymous in NBA communities for years. Especially Shad's a Knicks fan, so Mike Breen is the Knicks color commentator. So obviously the national community knows him for his time at ESPN in the playoffs and things like that, and the bang. But shout out to those guys, man. Like this class was just great, top to bottom.
Definitely well deserved. Everyone knows that bang, so I think that's definitely well deserved. Oh, Hodge says he's here, so I want to know what y'all realistic answers to how far you think the Knicks are going to go. Now, obviously, you Knicks fans think they're going to win it, but what's a realistic response?
Hey, man, let's hear it.
Because taking Philly 7 is obviously a successful season. Honestly, making the playoffs is a successful season, but taking
they didn't just make the playoffs. Because I think a lot of people thought that the Knicks could be a play-in team. I know I was one of those people that said they could be competing for the play-in. They exceeded everyone's expectations, to be in the 4th seed. Like, this is a whole, and it's impressive because this is outside of Derrick Rose. This is the same, and Obi Toppin, who really hasn't seen a ton of time. This is the same group as last year.
Yeah, Hodge, y'all would get Philly, or y'all would play the winner of the 1-8, not the 3-6. So y'all would get Philly, or who's Philly playing? Oh, whoever wins out of the play-in. So you guys wouldn't even play the Bucks. Excuse me. But yeah, obviously, sheesh. I mean, no one expect them to get a 4 seed. Some people, no, on the Knicks, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make the playoffs again. So for them to get in
Nah,
here
I'm
as a
not
four
doing
seed
that. I'm not. You. I know you had to come.
before
You
the
had to
season
come at their
started,
next.
before the season started, if you told me before the season started that the Knicks would be a 4 seed, I'd have
I
been
would have laughed at
convinced.
you.
I'd have been convinced you're a Knicks fan.
Not gonna say nothing on that.
See, look, even Hodge just said he thought there'll be lottery again this year. So, like, that's
Yeah,
not
but
good.
he's a truthful Knicks fan. I like those kind of Knicks fans.
So, me not being a Knicks fan, to say that I believe, like, if you asked me before the season, I would maybe say they wouldn't make it.
Well, like I said, I think the Knicks have a shot against Philadelphia. I'm obviously picking Philadelphia. I said 6, but the Knicks definitely are going to have a shot against Philadelphia based on what they've showed all year.
Yeah, he said Embiid always kills them, and that was my
Yes.
issue with them. Is Noel's not like Noel's a good shot blocker, but I don't know he's gonna be a good post defender. And obviously Mitchell too. Mitchell's a good shot blocker, but I don't know how well they are a post defender. So if they end up with Embiid, who they gonna put on him? I mean, they could try Taj Gibson, who's a strong defender in the
Is
post.
that is Mitchell is Mitchell going to be back?
I'm not sure. We gotta ask the Knicks fans in the comments.
Rashad and B Hodge, is Mitchell going to be back for the Philly series?
But even still, he's not gonna be able to guard Embiid. He's not. He's not strong enough.
Rebuttal?
And he said they got like, and then, oh yeah, Dwight Howard comes off the bench. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to worry about Dwight Howard too much.
You got the defense over there with Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle. I mean, they really need to give Tyrese Maxey more playing time.
Yeah, sure. In the playoff series, though, I wouldn't be surprised if he falls out of the rotation, being young and never not being there yet.
Yeah, but he just put 30 up the other night. Like in the beginning of the season, the way he was playing, we were talking about him being in the rookie of the year conversation.
Well, they said Mitch can be back first round. I still doesn't think that makes a difference against Philly.
None at all.
No, I would not unless you put Taj Gibson on him and send because those are shot blockers. They need a post defender. You would have to put Taj Gibson on him and then send those guys as shot blockers to come over and try to block his shot. He's gonna kill them in the post. They're too small. They're not strong enough. They're too. Yeah, they're not strong enough.
Get in the gym, boys. You gotta do that. You watch The Last Dance. See what Michael Jordan did.
See, even Shaw just said it. He said they're skinny when it comes to their bigs. So I'm saying you'd have to try someone like Taj Gibson, who's strong, make it tough for him on the block. And then anytime he spins, makes a move or anything, you got those guys coming over, they're shot blockers, and try to stop him at the rim.
Yeah,
That's
now that we're diving into it, it's starting to look more of a nightmare matchup for him. At least in the front court. I mean, they're well. That's obviously excluding Julius. Like their backcourt, there with RJ are pretty solid, but
Have
I'm not
people
even
been-
gonna say.
How have people been guarding Ben Simmons? Because is it possible you can put a center on him so you can sag off of him and send that help towards Embiid?
I don't really agree with that because like they just have a whole bunch of other pieces you can go to.
But they need to have someone be able to come over and help. They're gonna have to double Embiid, or they're gonna have to have someone meet him at the rim.
Well,
So,
Ben
maybe-
Simmons isn't scared to shoot the 3 anymore. He might not be shooting it at a great clip, but at least he's gonna try.
And in a playoff series, if I'm the Knicks, if we lose a playoff series because Ben Simmons is hitting threes, then you just gotta shake
Yeah,
the guy's
problem.
hand. You gotta shake his hand and be like, all right. Like it's nothing you can do about that. You can't win them all.
Yeah.
Basketball guys wasn't on your side. But if
Yeah.
I'm the Knicks right now, that's my game plan. I'm putting Taj Gibson on him, and I'm sending help because you got good shot blockers. I'm just meeting them at the rim every time.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm glad Rashad is here so I can get off this 2021 Basketball Hall of Fame class. Headline by Paul Pierce, Ben Wallace, Chris Webber, everyone's favorite broadcaster, Chris Webber, and my man Chris Bosh.
another well-deserved class. I know, like a lot of people thought Chris Bosh should have made it last year, this year, last year, however you want to kind of go about it. So well deserved. Ben Wallace, all the things that he did, especially for those Piston teams, kind of changing, really being
Rachel
the
Nichols made
first.
the Hall of Fame
Probably on the media
on the
side.
broadcaster side. That's great. That's great, man. If she did.
Well, Rashard just brought it up, so maybe it's possible.
No, I don't see anything. Yeah, no, I don't see anything about her making the Hall of Fame. I don't even how well, could Mike Breen and Mike Breen and Mike Wilbon's careers have spanned like almost 40 years. Rachel Nichols really hit the scene in like the 90s, covering the Chicago Bulls. So I don't think she's got the tenure in there as a broadcaster to get in there.
Well, he just responded. He said something about an IG live, so maybe he was talking about something else. Oh, Paul Pierce. I see what he's saying. Oh wow, I see.
Oh.
All right. Well, that went over our heads completely.
we had a yeah, it did. We had an awesome moment. We had to talk about this one with Chris Webber getting in on ESPN, with the pregame. Jalen, we all know the Fab Five and how the Fab Five was, culture changing, one of the greatest teams ever, greatest groups ever, not just in basketball, but in sports. And it was something special to behold. And unfortunately, things didn't end well there. We also know that there was a lot of problems with that group, with the members of that group, specifically Jalen Rose and Chris Webber. Everybody knows the story. Chris Webber is getting into the Hall of Fame now. And on NBA Countdown, we got to see an exchange between Jalen Rose and Chris Webber. What seems to be that they finally buried the hatchet. So I guess when I saw this from you, I didn't get to see it live on TV. What were your thoughts knowing the Fab Five? I don't know if you're a fan of the Fab Five like I was, but getting a chance to see these two after so many years, and a lot of bad comments interact with each other. Jalen Rose with the congratulations, getting into their history and everything. What were your thoughts on that?
Obviously, it's beautiful to see because when you watch the video, they're both from Detroit, and they talked about how they've been knowing each other since they were like 13. So obviously, it was bigger than basketball. So to see them finally come back together was kind of good. Obviously, people have been kind of lobbying this for a while now, but it took him getting into the Hall of Fame for it to happen. But what they say, better late than never. But like you said, it was more than basketball before they even made it to the Fab Five. So that's good to see.
Yeah, I agree, man. I hope we get a chance to see more of those two, interacting with each other together with each other. That was just a big deal to me, and hopefully we'll finally see the Fab Five really. I know they talked about getting together after Juwan Howard got the head coaching job over there. You guys know how I feel about Juwan Howard being the head coach there, but hopefully we got to see those group of guys really get a chance to interact with each other more.
But I think this is the right step. This is exactly what they needed. I think from here, it's just a matter of time before they get it together. Because those two guys are only two guys that was really stopping it. So now that they're talking, it's really only a matter of time. It's kind of from here. It's probably how they want to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the best opportunity to do it? Because I mean, shit, if they want to make some money off of it, they could. But also they can do something like do it at a game, a big Michigan game. Like say they make it to the Final Four. Like, oh, let's all go to the game, something like that. They can make it.
I got a good one. Bring the banners back, especially now those two are talking again. Juwan Howard's the head coach. Can we please bring the banners back up? Raise the banners, please. It's been way too long.
I think that might be something that they got to work out with the NCAA too, because they were on some they violated NCAA rules.
But they said the issue really was that Chris Webber lied to the grand jury.
Well, that I'm talking doesn't change that. I mean, as time goes on, the blow starts to lessen. But I think it's something that everyone's passed by now. So I think they were. I think they were banned for 20 years anyway. I think they can.
No, he was banned, not the rest of them. He was banned.
Oh, well, things seem to be going well. So. Like I said, it's probably only a matter of time.
Yeah. Look, how about you guys let us know in the comments, man? But when we took our hiatus, we didn't get to talk about the NFL draft and the things that gone on there. So let's get before we get out of here, let's recap the NFL draft. I know we got a lot of New Yorkers in here, Jets and Giants fans. So we will get into all of that. Rashad, hope you're still here because I would love to have this conversation with you as well. We all knew Trevor Lawrence would be going number 1 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was all about, no. We all knew that Zach Wilson would be going number 2 to the Jets New York Jets. And then number 3, we heard a lot about Mac Jones. We had a lot of conversation about Mac Jones possibly going to the San Francisco 49ers. You guys know I didn't agree with it. And I was starting to believe he was going to be the pick, and he wasn't. They ended up going with Trey Lance, the quarterback from North Dakota State. And I like it for the San Francisco 49ers because it definitely opens up a lot of what Kyle Shanahan likes to do. So, I mean, we don't know when he'll get to see starting time because they still got Jimmy Garoppolo over there. But, you know, back-to-back quarterbacks. I can't remember. I know it's happened before, but when's the last time we saw three quarterbacks go back-to-back?
I'm not 100% sure. I think for me, and I just all the think about all the quarterbacks in the first round. I think Mac Jones, even though he didn't go 3, and you was talking about him going 3, I think him falling to the Patriots is kind of perfect for him. Obviously, they have Cam Newton and stuff like that, but I don't think Cam Newton's their long-term goal. So I think Mac Jones, whether he ends up starting this year somehow or even down the line, you know how I feel all the time, getting that year under your belt just to see how different things are in the NFL, the travel and different things like that. It could turn out, and I know a lot of people first said that, it could turn out perfect where it's kind of like another Tom Brady situation. So I think obviously those 3 surprising, and like you said, when's the last time that happened? But I think if you just talking about all the quarterbacks in the first round, I think Mac Jones is kind of in the perfect situation.
Yeah. No, I think Mac Jones is definitely in a perfect situation with, it made sense that for Bill to take him because Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, great friends. They were on the same coaching staff when Bill was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. You know who's in a great situation more than anything, though? Justin Fields. Justin Fields is getting disrespected by everybody coming into this draft. He ended up falling, and this is where we get into the Giants. And Chicago, who desperately needed a quarterback because they have a great defense and they've got some good weapons over there, took a guy who is great at throwing the ball and also great at running with the ball. The best of both worlds for them. So, and then we don't know what's going to happen in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers' situation. Expect the Chicago Bears to be and then he's already coming in with a great attitude on top of that. We see the comments now, him talking about if you're not coming here to be a starter, you're in the wrong place. Like, I think Justin Fields more than anybody. And let me not say that because Trey Lance with the San Francisco 49ers and everything they have, with that team getting healthy, he's in a great situation as well. And Zach Wilson, good Hodge is here saying gangrene. Zach Wilson could turn out to be the most talented pro of these. I've been scouting Zach Wilson since early October. And all right, here's something for you guys who don't know. Chris Sims, a CBS, son of Giants legend Phil Simms, whose jersey I have right over here. His quarterback scouting over the last couple of years has been tremendous. In the 2017 draft going into that, when everybody was saying Mitchell Trubisky's the guy, he's the one that needs to go ahead of these guys, even though a lot of us were saying Deshaun Watson just came off a national title. What are you talking about? But most of the media was saying Mitch Trubisky. Chris Sims comes out and says Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes had a lot of doubters too. Chris Sims comes out and says Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent and Deshaun Watson is right there with him. Those are your top 2 picks. They end up going, 10 and 12, I want to say. Now we follow that up with the great quarterback class the next year. And, we're talking about Baker Mayfield. We're talking about Sam Darnold. We're talking about Josh Rosen. We're talking about Josh Allen. We're talking about Lamar Jackson. Chris Sims is the only one who said Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in this draft. and the second best quarterback is Josh Allen. Fast forward now, even with Deshaun Watson dealing with his legal issues, we know how great of a talent he is. The only reason why the Houston Texans were ever relevant was in the last couple of years is because of Deshaun Watson. They do not go to the playoffs without Deshaun Watson. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, since Patrick Mahomes has become their starter, have been to 3 straight AFC championships and could have went to 3 Super Bowls. So he's spot on money with that. Lamar Jackson wins Rookie of the Year. In a time when the Baltimore Ravens were struggling, they put Lamar Jackson under center mid-season, and he goes out and leads the Baltimore Ravens to the postseason. And look at the career he's had. He brings them back to the postseason the following year, wins a playoff game to take them to the next round. I think sky's the limit for him, especially with what they're doing. And then Josh Allen, the same thing. They go out and win a division with Josh Allen under center. He's taken them to the playoffs for multiple seasons as well. So Chris Sims in this draft says Zach Wilson is going to be the best quarterback. He thinks Trevor Lawrence will be the second best quarterback. And I agree. You know, like I said, I've been scouting Zach Wilson for a while. I know people kind of like to talk about, we weren't talking about Zach Wilson before this year. He just has a lot of qualities that remind me of a lot of things we talk about with an Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying he's those guys, but he does a lot of things that are reminiscent to them. You know, the arm talent and, you know, being able to make the throws on the move that he does. The Jets have to do some things for him. You know, they've got some good weapons, but they still got to do some things to help him out there. But with Robert Saleh as the head coach and everything else kind of factoring in there, getting that Joe Douglas gets the quarterback in there that he wanted, as opposed to just sticking with Sam, who's a guy that he didn't draft. The Jets could be coming out as winners in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Him being looked at late, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Because if you think about it, how many people was looking at Joe Burrows before LSU kind of made that run? So there's sometimes quarterbacks, you know, kind of come on maybe a little late. So I don't think that should kind of hurt him too much. I think that obviously, like you said, if he says that he's going to be the number 1 pick, that's great for the number 1 quarterback. That's great for the Jets because then they finally get that quarterback with everything that's going on with Sam Darnold, who they thought would probably be their quarterback. So it's good, like you said, they're turning it over. I brought up on here mad times. It was kind of time to get rid of Sam Darnold and go for a fresh start. So go for the fresh start with someone who they think might be the best quarterback in the draft. That's great for the Jets, and hopefully they can turn things around sooner than later.
Yeah. So anyway, after talking about these quarterback moves, I got to talk about my New York Giants. Are we going to win the NFC, Rashad? We'll see. I hope so. So anyway, the Giants.
Hold on. You felt like they were going to win the NFC before the draft.
Some moves were made. Dak Prescott's back. You know, the Eagles go and steal Devontae Smith from us.
But they had a great draft. That should only heighten.
I still didn't agree with some of the things that they did, but, you know, I digress.
Well, let's get into it, because I thought they did some fairly good things.
So, in day one, they trade with the Chicago Bears to acquire a 4th-round pick, I believe a 5th-round pick, and Chicago's 1st-round pick next year. So the Giants have 2 1st-round picks. Now, I'm just saying, you got Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers saying they, you know, making comments. They might not want to be where they're at. We don't know if Daniel Jones is the guy. So watch out for the future now that you got 2 1st-round picks. But anyway, after the trade goes through, and I like the trade because you now you got leverage for the future. You move all the way back to 20. I'm thinking they're going defense. They need an edge rusher, need more pass rush help, or possibly an offensive lineman. The offensive lineman that you would expect them to take ended up coming off the board. They draft wide receiver from Florida, the Gators, Kadarius Toney. Now, I wasn't, you know, ecstatic about the pick. I kind of did the same thing I did when they drafted Daniel Jones, but it is what it is. In round 2, pick 50, they draft Azeez Ojulari, linebacker from Georgia, who's actually teammates with Andrew Thomas, you know, who's now on the offensive line with the Giants now. Pick 3, number 71, Aaron Robinson, cornerback from Central Florida, round 4, pick 116. Ellerson Smith, another linebacker from Northern Iowa, in round 6, pick 196. Gary Brightwell, running back from Arizona. Watch out for that one. Round 6, pick 201 to end their draft. Rodarius Williams, another cornerback from Oklahoma State. So in this draft, what the Giants told me is that they have a lot of faith with everyone that they have in the building when it comes to the offensive line. And I don't want to say that I'm mad at that, because I thought a lot of those young guys that they brought in that were undrafted and late round picks, and you got a Matt Pert, Shane Lemieux, Andrew Thomas started stepping it up. I liked a lot of what I seen on the offensive line from the New York Giants. And then you're also bringing back Nate Solder, and you're going to see where he factors in there. So we'll wait and see. But they told us they wanted to get Daniel Jones more help with his weapons. I didn't think they needed more weapons, but whatever. I've heard some good things about Kadarius Toney from some people that I know down in Florida since the draft has taken place. And then everything else was outside of round 6, where they took a running back. Everything else was defense.
Yeah, and we talked about it on here before. Like, which way were they going to go? Were they going to go weapons or go defense? They ended up going weapons. Like you said, you thought after the off season kind of that they had enough weapons and things like that, but you can never have too many weapons. So they went with more offensive firepower and things like that early, and then they shored up the defense late. So they kind of did both. You know what I mean? We talked about, should they go offense, should they go defense? They went offense first, so a lot of defense later. So I don't want to knock them too much for that. And I think trading into next year's draft is good too. You talked about it, all the things you just talked about, but I sent you guys a tweet when it was like next year's draft class is supposed to be deeper too. So you end up with 2 first-round picks and a draft class that ends up deeper. Obviously, if you don't trade the picks away, you keep the picks and maybe get a nice piece and go from there. So I think it's a win-win. And a lot of people talked about how Gettleman never trades back. I think he ended up trading back twice in the draft. And I think it worked out. Like you said, I've heard nothing but good things about Toney since he's been drafted and different things like that. And some people thought it might have been a little bit of a steal for the Giants. So now Daniel Jones has all the pieces that he needs. He just has to put it all together. And if not, they'll be using those picks and maybe some of those young players to try to go get them Aaron Rodgers or something like that. So I think it put them in a good position.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at their offense, like the offense is still scary. You got, what you got over there as far as Darius Slayton. Sterling Shepard will be back. They signed John Ross, a speedster who was playing for Cincinnati last year. They've and then you make the big splash. Excuse me. You make the big splash in free agency when you go out and sign Kenny Galladay, who's supposed to be your new number 1. I guess my biggest thing with what the Giants were doing is you could have all the weapons in the world, but if you can't keep your quarterback upright, then how far are you going to go exactly, right? And we saw that because Joe Burrow had a phenomenal rookie year, but his issue was he was always running for his life, and his rookie season ended because you couldn't protect him in the trenches with your offensive line. The Bengals are another one. Jamar Chase is great, and we saw what Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow did together when they were at LSU. But if you can't keep a guy, Eli Manning had Odell Beckham for years. He was making these crazy inaccurate throws, hoping Odell would catch him, and he had no choice because he had no protection up front. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't keep your quarterback upright, how far are you going to go?
Yeah, definitely. We've been talking about the offensive line on here for a couple of years now. I think that's the one thing kind of in Gettleman's era that he maybe hasn't got 100% right. So I think that the offensive line ended the season playing pretty well. So I think maybe they're going to try to maybe build off of something like that. And maybe that's what they were thinking here. But maybe they're thinking Daniel Jones would be a little more mobile and maybe a lot of more quick passes with all the offensive weapons that he has. And then maybe a lot of more running with Saquon Barkley in the back, being able to maybe make some plays back there. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe some quick passes, maybe the kind of momentum the offensive line built towards the end of the season, and then maybe some more running. So we don't know what's going on there. But I think Gettleman, like I said, during his era, the offensive line has always been a question.
Yeah, and it's crazy because that's the first thing that when he got the job, he said priority was fixing the offensive line, and to date we haven't really seen it. Like I said, they made strides last year. With Daniel Jones, it comes to his athleticism. You know, he's definitely a great athlete, but we saw when he got hurt and he became limited as far as his athleticism go. He wasn't because he was showing a lot of improvement before his injury, but once he got hurt, now we're looking at him saying, okay, this guy's a little limited. That's another question mark for me. I'm not going to question Dave Gettleman too much with his drafting. I question him a lot with team building and as far as free agency goes and things like that. But I can't question him too much on his drafting, even when I don't agree with it, because historically, from this time with the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants, he's drafted well.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe he didn't see an offensive line position there that he wanted to take a tackle or something like that. So we just have to wait and see. Or maybe it's just something he's never going to be able to figure out. Maybe the offensive line is just not his expertise. So, yeah, like you said, they took his strides last year. Hopefully, they can take more strides going forward and get better at that. But if not, like I said, I mean, they're gonna have to rely on his athleticism. And you brought it up with Joe Burrows. It's like, yeah, you could probably do that, but that's probably not the best situation you want to put your quarterback in. So I guess expect Saquon Barkley to have the ball a lot or a lot of quick passes for now, or the offensive line taking some more stride. Maybe they're putting more pressure on than what they have now, and telling them they got to get better. I guess if they don't get better throughout the season, some changes will happen. Maybe some trades or something.
Yeah, the other thing too, when it comes to the offensive line that people were bringing up a lot was COVID and not having full mini camps, no rookie mini camps and full preseason camps going into it, and having it this time around being a big help to these guys. I don't know though. I'm gonna have to wait and see, you know, what the product on the field is exactly. I want to believe that this offensive line is gonna continue to grow together, especially when you have a lot of these young guys coming in. The one thing I say that the Giants shouldn't do, we've seen it with a lot of teams, because especially with Dave, when is Dave Gettleman going to be on the hot seat? That was a question after this season. And in a lot of people's, because the Giants' schedule this season is not going to be easy. The schedules came out last week. Their schedule is not going to be easy by any stretch. I know Rashad's in here saying he thinks they're going to win the NFC East. I think to win the NFC East, you're going to have to win 10, 11 games. The way of it, Washington still has that great defense. They're bringing Ryan Fitzpatrick. As long as there's no expectations for Ryan Fitzpatrick, he plays very well. But when the expectations set in, that's when he goes from Fitz magic to Fitz tragic. And Dak is back with the Dallas Cowboys. And then the Philadelphia with what they're doing with Jalen Hurts. And now they got Devontae Smith. You know they desperately needed a wide receiver. Got Darius Slay, one of their cornerbacks. They got a lot going on over there. Michael Kelsey. It's going to be these four teams are all going to be, you know, neck and neck with each other all season. For the Giants and Dave Gettleman, and I don't believe Dave Gettleman, even though he walked his comments back when he was asked about Aaron Rodgers' situation later on. For the Giants, you don't want to hold on. You don't want to be Chicago and hold on to a guy that you know isn't the guy. Just because you drafted, you went up to get him when you probably didn't need to do that. So if we know Daniel Jones isn't the guy, when is it time to cut bait?
But I think right now the thing is they don't know yet if he's not the guy. I think this year is going to determine.
This year is going to tell it. This is the year. He has no excuses. He's got everything he needs.
Yeah, definitely.
The offensive line isn't great, but it's not terrible.
So I think this year is the year they're going to decide. And then with all the quarterbacks that might be on the market, I think this is like a last opportunity. So like you said, I don't think he's holding on to him right now because it's someone he drafted. I just think he's trying to make sure that he's not that guy before he kind of gets rid of him. And so, and that's maybe why he went with more offense. He gave him the offense. We have to know if this is the quarterback that we can use. So you give him everything he needs, and then you know that's not him, and then you keep going forward.
But here's the thing, Kay. His career is tied to Daniel Jones. That was the quarterback that he took when we said they need to take a quarterback.
Well, if you think,
This is he will forever be top. It doesn't matter that he was the GM when the Carolina Panthers went to the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter with everything. Yeah, he's drafted well. He took Daniel Jones when nobody was talking about Daniel
but
Jones with the 6th overall pick.
there's a couple things that's working. I think works out for him. One, Daniel Jones has been better than expected. So obviously he hasn't been great, but that first season we were like, okay, he's better than expected. Haskins didn't work out, and that's the person that everyone thought he should have took. So if Haskins ends up working out, it'll look real worse right now. So Haskins not working out, it's like, okay, at least we have something because we could have Haskins. So it's like that works out for him too. And if he can turn like Daniel, like I said, there's a lot of quarterbacks that might be on the market. So like if he turns Daniel Jones into Aaron Rodgers, that could work out for him too. So there's a couple things here where it's like he's tied to him, but like when you look back at it, it's gonna be like, okay, he was better than expected. He wasn't Haskins because we wanted Haskins, so at least we got something instead of nothing. And we turned him into Aaron Rodgers maybe. So like it could work out for him.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things you could turn in the addition. We don't know what Deshaun Watson's situation in Houston is right now. Like, I know things that seem like they're dying down with his court case. Russell, we don't know what even things seem good in Seattle with Russell Wilson. There's great quarterbacks on the market that you could take. You know me, I'll take AR-12 every day and twice on Sundays. Look, at the end of the day, I gotta see what this product looks on the field. He has no excuses to me, and we'll know with the season being what it is for the Giants with their schedule. We'll know whether or not he's that guy within the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's definitely on
It'll be a complete failure for the Giants if they don't sniff a 10-win season. They got to win 9-10 games for me to say they got to take because we all like Joe Judge. We like the coaching staff he's put together. Jason Garrett, I don't know, but we like Joe Judge. It'll be a complete failure on this team, and there will be a lot of questions to be answered if they only win about 5-6 games.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of to Shot's point, a lot of people are expecting them to win the NFC East. So, like you said, it'll be a failure. And I think there's other ways they could fail, even with him playing well. But obviously, if they fail and he's not playing well, I think he's going to be out of there. So, the good thing is that Aaron Rodgers and those other quarterbacks technically aren't on the market yet. And by the time you maybe find out that Daniel Jones isn't the guy, they might be on the market. So, timing may just work out for them perfectly.
Okay. I am not mad at that at all. Anything else that you saw in this draft that kind of stuck out to you?
I mean, you talked about Chicago moving up to get Justin Fields. I think that was a great move. A lot of people look back at the Mitchell Trubisky pick and things like that, passing up on those quarterbacks, and maybe how this can be looked at as them trying to make up for that mistake. So they move up and get a great quarterback. A lot of people thought he should have been higher. I think he was higher earlier on in the year, and we talked about how maybe being a black quarterback and some of the things that been going against him that maybe hasn't gone against some of these other quarterbacks. So I think he's going to be motivated to come out. So I think that's good for Chicago, especially like I said, making up for that Mitchell Trubisky move. So I like what Chicago did.
I'll tell you something I like. The Baltimore Ravens taking Rashad Bateman. Yeah, Rashad Bateman in the first round, number 27 overall. He's a guy that was really mocked to them a lot too. And trying to get Lamar to take those next steps in his career, especially as a passer. He's going to get a receiver that's a big body that's fast. I believe ran a 4.4 or 4.3 in his 40 time. That one really stuck out for me. And even with the Browns, I might be alone on this. With the Browns doing so well and people now starting to they're going to get Odell back. People starting to talk about them as possible Super Bowl contenders. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to win the AFC North.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised about that. You said Baltimore will win it, not Cleveland?
Not Cleveland, not Pittsburgh.
So you're picking Baltimore. So who won it last year?
Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And all three of those teams made the playoffs.
Oh, okay. I thought Oh, okay. I guess I got confused. Did Baltimore win it 2 years ago?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. All right. I'll take. I guess we talked about Lamar Jackson. I'm not having as great as a year this year, and maybe some teams kind of figuring them out. But they're able to come out and get a playoff game. I don't know. I think it's kind of still up in the air. I think right now, maybe Baltimore get it, but obviously you can never count out the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think that the Steelers will have something to say about that. The thing about the Browns is Odell's coming back, which is technically good for them. But if you think about it, maybe not because they played better without him, no matter what that situation may be. So him coming back may ruin a couple things. So they have to figure that out before you can kind of say they'll take it. But I think obviously it's between Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Stefanski proved. I think we all knew Stefanski could be a good head coach. Stefanski was exactly what Baker Mayfield needed. They actually wanted to bring when Pat Shurmur was the head coach of the Giants, they wanted to bring Stefanski on as offensive coordinator, and Minnesota wasn't having it. So that was like to get Stefanski in Cleveland was huge for them. Again, with the COVID season, with COVID affecting the length of the season, maybe that hurt their chemistry between Baker Mayfield and Odell, and having Jarvis Landry over there as well. A lot of other factors. Having more time to game plan with those guys and schemes and things like that. Maybe we could see some good things, but to your point, like maybe it could be time to cut bait with Odell.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I think they were kind of talking about that before he even went down and they started playing better. So now that they kind of play better without him, like obviously you may want to bring him back in and maybe he can hop on the kind of momentum that they got and keep it going because he's just that talented. But if you look at it, they just seem to have played better without him, whatever the situation is. So it might be time to cut bait with him, especially because you don't want to go into this year and get behind, especially with Baltimore and Pittsburgh and things like that. You don't want to get too far behind. So maybe you go a couple games, and if it's not working, cut bait early and just go back to what was working
trade
at the end of
deadline
last year. Yeah, and go back to what was working at the end of last year. Which I don't think that's nothing against Odell or really nothing against Cleveland. It just may not be a good fit.
You need to get him where he wants to be in LA, man.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, Cleveland's pretty cold, so I don't blame anyone for wanting to be in LA over Cleveland.
There's not much to do in Cleveland either. I've been there.
I haven't been there, but I can imagine.
You're good where you at.
Yeah. Sunshine and palm trees.
I really don't have much more here, man. That was kind of my dissection of this draft. Is there anything else that you saw before we get out of here? Anything else you want to add?
I did, but I can't remember the pick. But someone in the first round took a pick that was projected to be I think like a second or third round pick that a lot of people were surprised about. I remember that when I was watching the draft, but it slipped my mind right now. But I think that he went way higher than expected. I forgot who took him, but that was just interesting there.
I'll look it up for you right now.
I think it was later on in the first round too. But I remember when I was watching the draft, they were like, bad people were surprised that he ended up going that high.
Was it the Ravens?
I don't remember right now. It could have been the Ravens though.
No, it's probably the Green Bay Packers. They took a cornerback when they needed a wide receiver. Another reason why Aaron Rodgers wasn't happy. They took Eric Stokes, cornerback from Georgia. I don't know if that might be it.
I don't know, but I know he was projected to be like a third round pick. He ended up being like a mid first round pick. But that's besides.
You know what shocked me? And anybody that wants to chime in can. I thought Travis Etienne was going to go before Najee Harris when we talk about running backs. And Pittsburgh definitely got what they needed out of that one, taking Najee Harris at 24, with just getting a great running back pair. But I just like Travis Etienne a lot more than I like Najee Harris. I mean, you can't go wrong either way. I just always thought Travis Etienne was the better back.
Yeah, I can't knock you for that. But like you said, you can't really go wrong either way. So, yeah, some of these things is kind of like teams feel like is a better fit for them. So obviously, they probably felt like he was a better pick, but you can never go wrong either way.
Yeah, I mean they both ended up going like the Jaguars get Trevor. We talk about guys reuniting. Trevor Lawrence is going to be with his running back in Jacksonville. So
Yeah. Well, that's good for them. They was able to lead them to a national championship, so they're hoping to kind of recreate some of that same magic over there.
when you talking about the Vikings, that pick when they took Christian Darrisaw, the offensive tackle from Virginia Tech. Because
I
I
would
seen
have I would have to look at it again. I don't remember
Hodge
off the
was saying he thinks it's a lineman, and that's the one I saw go late was when because the Vikings and the Jets made a trade. Vikings trade up and they took Christian Darrisaw, the offensive tackle from Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Man. Sorry for the technical difficulties earlier, man. We were really on a roll getting into it. You guys need to check out that part one. Should be on YouTube now. That we were having a ton of fun. It's great to be back. It's great to be back, man. I really missed this. We had a lot going on. Again, K-Son, shout out to you, Miami, University of Miami graduate. Very happy for you, brother. We've been knowing each other for a very long time. Like I said, fam goes way back. Very proud of you, man, and much success coming your way in the future.
thank you. I definitely appreciate it, bro. Like you said, just coming where, coming from where we come from is not exactly what everyone expected. So making the best out of it.
Most def, man. Thank you guys for
Also,
tuning in. Well, go ahead,
also
you guys.
we I guess we've been off for like 3 weeks, but we went way longer than we usually do. Appreciate everyone that pulled up, everyone that left, everyone that just stopped by real fast. And then the comments, and you were talking about that the last show. We was getting into the Knicks. We'll definitely be getting into the Knicks again because I believe they play this weekend because the playoffs start this weekend. So see how those first 2 games. They probably play 1 or 2 games before we come back next Tuesday. So we definitely be talking about the Knicks again and talk about our predictions and see how that series is going.
They wouldn't let us have a show if we don't talk about the Knicks. We got to talk about the Knicks.
And it's playoff time, man. I'm coming in here and breaking down everything that's going on.
Yeah, we got he's the whiz kid come playoff time. This is playoff case on, man.
Whatever strategies is working or whatnot, we're gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, man. But thank you guys for tuning in. Love it. We'll catch you guys next week. It's K-Son, it's Rich. We are out.